Think of the last conversation you had with someone you love. How much of it were you genuinely listening? Not waiting for your turn to speak. Not preparing your response while they were still talking. Not half present. One eye on your phone, one ear on what they were saying. Genuinely listening. Most of us, if we are honest, would have to admit that genuine listening is one of the rarest things we ever offer another human being. And rarer still, the listening that turns inward. The willingness to sit quietly with your own deepest knowing, to hear what your conscience is telling you, to attend to the inner voice that speaks only when the noise of opinion and fear and social expectation has been quieted enough to let it through. And rarest of all, the listening that attends to life itself, the reading of what reality is constantly offering, the signs, the patterns, the natural order of things that speaks to those willing to be still enough to hear it. 3 of the greatest civilizations in human history understood that listening, genuine listening, was not a passive act. It was perhaps the most active and demanding practice available to a human being. Today we explore what that means through the Stoics of ancient Greece, through the Vedic and Buddhist wisdom of ancient India, and through the Taoist and Confucian masters of ancient China. Stay with me, because what these ancient voices discovered about listening will change not just how you hear others, but how you hear yourself. And in hearing yourself, how you hear everything. Zeno of Citium, the founder of Stoic philosophy, was said to have spent years as a student before he spoke a single original philosophical thought. He listened first, he absorbed first, he understood first, and only then, from that deep foundation of genuine hearing, did he begin to teach. His student, Cleanthes, was famous for carrying a writing tablet everywhere he went, writing down everything he heard so that nothing worth knowing would be lost, not because he lacked intelligence, but because he understood that wisdom enters through the ears before it exits through the mouth. Epictetus, who gave us the teaching on 2 ears and 1 mouth, went further than mere advice about conversation. He taught that the untrained mind is so busy with its own noise, its fears, its desires, its endless commentary on experience, that it is functionally deaf to most of what is actually being communicated, not just in conversation, but in life itself. He said, first learn the meaning of what you say, and then speak. First, learn the meaning. How often do we speak without having truly listened to what we are about to say? How often do we respond without having truly heard what was said to us? The Stoic practice of listening was a practice of genuine presence, of bringing the full quality of an undistracted mind to what was actually being offered. Marcus Aurelius demonstrated this throughout his reign. He was famous among his advisors for the quality of his attention, for the way he listened to petitions and arguments, not with the impatience of a man of power, but with the genuine receptivity of a philosopher. He wrote, "The first rule is to keep an untroubled spirit. The second is to look things in the face and know them for what they are." Looking things in the face and knowing them for what they are, this is the fruit of genuine listening. Not what you feared they were, not what you hoped they were, not what your assumptions told you they were before you heard a single word, what they actually are. Seneca wrote, "Gather and save the things which will help you mend your ways. Apply them when the opportunity arises." The gathering begins with listening. You cannot apply what you have not first genuinely heard. The ancient Vedic tradition had a specific word for the practice of sacred listening: Shravana. It was considered the first and most fundamental of the three stages of spiritual practice. Shravana, listening; manana, reflection; nididhyasana, deep contemplation. You cannot reflect on what you have not heard. You cannot contemplate what you have not reflected on. Everything begins with listening, and not ordinary listening, but the quality of attention that the Sanskrit word Shravana implies, a listening so complete that what is heard enters not just the ears, but the whole being. The Upanishads describe this quality of listening as the difference between hearing words and receiving wisdom. Words can be heard with the ears. Wisdom must be received with something deeper, a quality of inner openness that only the prepared mind can offer. Adi Shankaracharya, the great 8th century philosopher of Advaita Vedanta, described Shravana as the gateway to liberation itself. Not because the words were magic, but because genuine listening dissolves the barrier between the teacher and the student, between the teaching and the one being taught, between the truth and the mind, ready to receive it. Ramana Maharshi approached listening from the direction of the inner voice. His entire teaching rested on one practice, the practice of listening so deeply inward that you could hear the answer to the question, "Who am I?" Not the verbal answer, not the conceptual answer, but the direct experience of the awareness that was listening, which was itself the answer. He said, "Your own self-realization is the greatest service you can render the world, and self-realization begins with the willingness to listen to what you most deeply are, rather than to the noise of what you have been told you are." The Buddha taught listening as a form of compassion. He said, "If we could see the miracle of a single flower clearly, our whole life would change." Seeing the miracle of a single flower. This is not visual. This is a quality of listening, of attending so completely to what is present that its full nature is revealed. The Buddha spent 45 years after his enlightenment listening to the suffering of those who came to him, not to fix them, not to immediately advise them, not to impose his understanding on their experience, but to hear them fully, completely, without agenda, and from that quality of genuine hearing, to offer only what was actually needed. That is compassionate listening, the rarest and most healing form of attention one human being can offer another. Lao Tzu understood listening as the fundamental practice of alignment with the Tao. The Tao, the way of things, is not silent. It speaks constantly through the patterns of nature, through the rhythm of seasons, through the behavior of water, through the bending of bamboo in the storm and its straightening after. But it speaks in a language that only the still mind can hear. He wrote, "Know the world without going outside. See the Tao of heaven without looking out of the window." The further you go, the less you know. Not the further you travel, but the further you reach outward for answers that can only be found by listening inward. The Taoist sage was above all a great listener to the natural world, to the Tao that moved through it, to the inner knowing that aligned itself with that movement when the noise of the ego was sufficiently quieted. Zhuangzi described this listening as a form of fasting, not of the stomach, but of the mind. He wrote, "Do not listen with your ears, listen with your mind. Do not listen with your mind, listen with your vital energy." Listening with vital energy with the whole undivided quality of your being. This is what Zhuangzi meant by genuine hearing, not the processing of information, not the evaluation of arguments. The full presence of a being that has temporarily set aside its own agenda to receive what is actually being offered. Confucius demonstrated the art of listening through his entire philosophical method. His teaching style was almost entirely responsive. He rarely lectured in the abstract, but listened first to the specific person before him, to their specific question, to the specific life behind the question, and from that genuine hearing, offer the precise teaching that person in that moment actually needed. Different students asked him the same question and received different answers, not because Confucius was inconsistent, but because he had listened deeply enough to hear that the same question from different people was actually a different question. He said, "When you know a thing, hold that you know it. When you do not know a thing, allow that you do not know it." This is knowledge. The beginning of genuine knowledge is the willingness to listen, even to your own ignorance, without the defensiveness of ego that insists it already knows. 3 civilizations, 3 encounters with the same fundamental human capacity and its fundamental human neglect, and 3 versions of the same invitation. Epictetus gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth, and asked us to use them in that proportion. The Vedic tradition gave us Shravana, the sacred art of listening that opens the gateway to wisdom. Lao Tzu asked us to listen not with our ears, not with our minds, but with our vital energy, the whole undivided presence of a being that has set aside its own agenda. They never met each other. They never read each other's words. And yet, one truth. Listening is not passive. It is the most active form of intelligence available to a human being. It is the intelligence that knows when to be still, the courage that can hear what it did not expect, the humility that recognizes that the truth it needs may be present in the voice before it, if only it would stop preparing its response long enough to actually hear it. The Stoic calls it the undistracted mind, present to what is actually being said rather than to its own noise. The Vedic tradition calls it Shravana, the quality of inner openness that allows wisdom to enter. The Taoist calls it listening with vital energy, the whole being attending to the whole of what is. One truth, 3 voices. The art of listening is the art of being genuinely present to another person, to your own deepest knowing, to the nature of things as they actually are. And in that genuine presence, you will hear something that the noise has been drowning out your entire life. The truth that was always there, waiting, not for the right words, but for the right silence in which to finally be heard. Subscribe to One Truth, Many Voices, where every week we sit with the greatest minds of Greece, India, and China and listen for the wisdom beneath all their words. One truth, many voices, many paths. See you next week.